You've packed up your life and headed to the airport for a one-way move abroad. But at the check-in desk, the agent asks to see your return ticket. Without it, they can and will deny you boarding on the spot. This data shows how the industry is moving. Over 30% of global seat capacity is now sold as individual, one-way segments. For digital nomads and relocating students, this has become the standard way to travel. The reason check-in agents are so persistent comes down to airline liability. If a country rejects you at the border, international law forces the airline to fly you back at their own expense, often while paying thousands in regulatory fines. To protect their own bottom line, airlines have essentially outsourced border control to their staff. The person weighing your luggage is now the first line of defense, tasked with verifying your visa and itinerary before you ever see a gate. Successfully flying one way isn't about luck, it's about preparation. You have to account for airline risk management algorithms and complex government visa rules long before you reach the terminal. Full-service legacy airlines often rely on a pricing trap to discourage one-way travel. On many long-haul routes, a single one-way leg can cost between 60 and 90% of a full round-trip ticket. This is a byproduct of yield management. These airlines assume you are making a return journey. If you only buy one half, they price the ticket to recoup the revenue they assume they're losing on that empty return seat. Budget airlines like Ryanair and Indigo have completely bypassed this logic. They don't offer return discounts at all. Every seat is sold as a standalone one-way, meaning you never pay a penalty for flexibility. This creates an opportunity for a two one-ways strategy. By using fare comparison engines, you can pair a cheap budget carrier short-haul flight with a competitively priced legacy long-haul flight, often beating the price of a standard return. Executing this correctly turns booking into a mathematical exercise. You're essentially using different airline business models against each other to bypass the legacy pricing penalty. Border security treats one-way tickets differently depending on your visa. While a student or work permit usually allows for an open-ended arrival, a standard tourist visa almost always requires legal proof that you intend to leave. Attempting to enter countries with strict enforcement, like the US, Canada, or Thailand, on a tourist visa without an exit ticket is a major red flag. It's often enough to get you flagged for additional screening or denied entry entirely. One legal workaround is the refundable ticket tactic. You purchase a high-tier legacy fare to use as proof at check-in, then cancel it for a full refund once you've cleared immigration. Digital nomads often use a similar service, Onward ticket rentals. For a small fee, these platforms provide a verifiable airline reservation that stays active for 24 to 48 hours, just long enough to satisfy a check-in agent's computer. These methods aren't about breaking rules, they're about maintaining verifiable compliance. You aren't committing to a return date, you're just ensuring you have the right documentation during the transit window. The biggest risk of mixing airlines is the self-connection. Because you have two separate booking references, there is no interline agreement. If your first flight is delayed, the second airline won't help you. This gets even more complicated in the UK and EU. If you self-transfer on separate tickets, you may be forced to pass through border security to collect your bags, which might require a specific transit visa you didn't plan for. Then there is the skip-lagging baggage trap. International aviation protocols require airlines to tag checked luggage to the final destination on your ticket. You cannot ask an agent to short-check your bags to an intermediate city just because you plan to walk out. To manage this, follow the 4-hour buffer rule. Give yourself a window at major hubs, and always buy a flexible, changeable fare for the second leg of your trip to protect against delays. When you move away from single airline bookings, you lose the corporate safety net. You're trading airline protection for lower prices, which means you have to be your own insurer. Booking sequential one-way flights opens up itineraries that traditional return tickets simply can't match, like flying into Singapore and out of Ho Chi Minh City. However, this flexibility shifts the logistical responsibility to you. Instead of an airline managing your transit, you are now responsible for coordinating separate baggage rules and connection windows. Before you book, run through this final checklist. First, audit your destination's immigration rules for proof of return requirements, and make sure your passport is valid for at least another 6 months. Next, verify if your layover airports require a transit visa for self-transfers. Finally, carry printed copies of your enrollment letters or financial proofs so you aren't scrambling for a Wi-Fi connection at the border. If these strategies helped you plan your next move, hit the like button and share this with anyone heading abroad this semester. Subscribe to the channel for more data-backed travel guides. For your next complex itinerary, use the comparison tools at myflightoffers.com to find the best fares, and check their Offers Hub for international student guides. Safe travels!